Good morning, Big Perk. Now, you did a great job of covering this.
Man.
Okay. Now, you did a great job covering this year's NBA Finals. But you know what happens, Greeny? Young folks like this that's been doing this job like 5 years, they get one or two things right. They get one or two catchphrases. Then they come over here with their Dr. Seuss lines, wearing their 80s pastor suits, and think all of their takes are going to be hot. So let me tell you a couple of things that I heard Perk say about this series. Didn't he just slander Coach Bud the entire year about not making adjustments? Hey, Perk, the number one adjustment this year was giving the ball to Middleton the last couple of minutes of a game. Drew Holiday isn't the best two-way player in the NBA. Last night, you saw the best two-way player in the NBA. That's actually Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Chris Middleton is not Batman. That happens to be the Greek Freak. And don't try to flip it and say, oh, now he's Superman. You could just say, that take was off. By the way, what happened to your guy DeAndre Ayton? Let me finish. What happened to your guy DeAndre Ayton? Is he still David Robinson? I didn't see him. Is he still David Robinson? Are the Suns still a dynasty? I don't see that with a 36-year-old point guard. So again, it's great to come over here and talk really loud and have all of the catchphrases, but you were so very dead wrong about the Bucks as a guy that said that Giannis should leave Milwaukee. You said Giannis should leave Milwaukee. And he stayed. He stayed, and he delivered.
Go ahead, Perk.
First of all, now let me address you like my catchphrase, like the numbers on the house. You talking about a pastor suit. Let me address you real quick, Mr. Spray Paint Line that's afraid to let it go because I'm diving up into the 80s
I'm all natural, homie. I'm all natural, homie. And by the way, I'm only 10 years older than you. You call me a senior citizen. I'm only 10 years older than you. And you look 50 years older than me.
Hold on. I let you talk. Let me finish, Mr. Jalen Rose. Okay, for the simple fact that I understand that it took you a while to get on the show because you probably needed a walker. All right, and let me address you with some facts too. You picked the Phoenix Suns to win this series as well.
I thought Batman was going to be hurt. I thought Batman was going to be hurt. And then he swooped in game one to save the day. No, we heard you talk 50 times. We already heard you 500 times. We already heard what you have to say. We already heard what you have to say. It was tired and wrong.
Jalen Rose.
Okay.
Jalen Rose. This is the problem, man. At the end of the day, I don't know what you got up with Big Perk, but it's all good over here, dog. I'm not doing no tripping. Like Greeny said, I picked the Bucks to come to the Eastern Conference. I picked them before James Harden and Kyrie Irving was hurt. I picked them before the playoffs was even started. I picked the Milwaukee Bucks to make it to the finals. And when I make a phrase and say things like that DeAndre Ayton is the second coming of a David Robinson, this is based off of potential, Jalen Rose. This is when you talk about a guy that's a number.
David Robinson was a scorer. Man. David Robinson scored 50 points in college and 70 points in the NBA. DeAndre Ayton will never lead the league in scoring.
DeAndre Ayton is 21 years old, man.
We just heard for 25 minutes today. We're going to watch him on First Take. We're going to watch him on SportsCenter. We're going to watch him this afternoon.
Oh, my God.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, keep watching. I mean, what you want me to do? Keep watching. I can't help it that I got a certain type of charisma. I can't help it that I got a certain type of authenticity that the viewers want to see. I can't help it that I'm sitting up here looking like a 6'10", 360-pound version of Morris Chestnut. I can't help it that I did things my way. I can't help it that I came into this media game as basically an intern and worked my way up.
Let's talk about the Bucks.
No, because first of all, it went past that because you came in here telling me about my inexperience. You came in here addressing my character on how I approach the game. So
I didn't address your character.
To defend. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You started it off by that. Yes, you did. Because you said as a first-time guy that's been
didn't
on
say
TV.
first time. I didn't say first time.
No, you said your
I said
first
you've been
time
doing it
at
a
the
few
finals.
years.
That you do.
In
You
other
know
news,
what? Hey, look, you got it, bro. It's your world. I'm just trying to get an apartment in it.
in other news, the Bucks won the championship last night. And so, Jalen, let me ask you a quick question if I can, and then I'm going to have to go. And that is, what does this mean for the sport? That Giannis, who could have been a free agent this year and tried to join a super team, instead signed the super max last summer, that he's homegrown and stayed in Milwaukee and did it. What does it mean for the league and the sport?
I love you, Perk. It ain't personal. Giannis showed last night that all rings aren't created equal. And in an era of player empowerment via social media and their voices, they do an amazing job of getting their messages out there. But the one thing they can't control is how we view it. And Giannis said it when he got to the podium. He wanted to stay, he wanted to build, and he wanted to do it in Milwaukee, the team that drafted him. And that was his motivation. So now, like Dirk Nowitzki, for example, that championship is going to live eternally, just like the one that Kawhi Leonard got with the Raptors. There are certain things that when players do them the way Giannis did them, fans and media appreciate how he went about the journey as a 26-year-old player that's a two-time MVP, that's a Defensive Player of the Year, that's a Finals MVP, that's the most athletic 7-foot player that we've seen in a really long time. And I know he and KD are both listed at 6'11". KD has more of a perimeter guard type skills. Giannis is more of a dominant big type skills, doing it in the paint, giving me 50. And how about the blocks? Y'all should cut a rip of his blocks, because his blocks were incredible yesterday, the way he changed shots.
Is Scottie Pippen right? Is there room for criticism of the way Kevin Durant tried to win that series against Milwaukee?
No way. The only criticism you can have for Kevin Durant is that he didn't lift that team basically by himself to the next round. He was an outstanding performer in that series, and he dazzled us. And regardless of who wins the championship this year, Kevin Durant for this year's playoffs will be the people's champ, because he reestablished himself as the unstoppable force as an offensive weapon in the NBA. But for Scottie Pippen, to be honest with you guys, as somebody that grew up watching Scottie, I've always felt bad at his portrayal. Anytime he was called Robin, that was always a diss. He's one of the most disrespected great players in the history of the NBA. And it culminated himself to me when The Last Dance came out and a new era of fans got a chance to see that he was a great player, but he doesn't get the respect, the all-time respect that he deserves.
That's right. He has a book coming out this fall in which he's going to address all that, and we'll see what it is he says. But Big Perk, let me come to you on the previous thing that Jalen says, which is, did KD, your former teammate, did he actually earn more respect in defeat with the way he played in this postseason than anything he's done since he was in Oklahoma City?
You know what, Greeny, is close, because I remember when KD won the MVP, when Russell Westbrook was out, we saw Kevin Durant move to the point forward. And see, what happened is that when he joined the Warriors, we wasn't able to see Kevin Durant dominate the ball. And when he got on this super team with James Harden and Kyrie Irving, we wasn't able to see the best out of Kevin Durant because he had to share the ball. But when James Harden and Kyrie Irving went out, then we were able to see what Kevin Durant could bring to the table. We saw his ability to facilitate for others. We saw how he was able to get down there and rebound in the trenches. We saw how he was able to anchor the defense. So, again, I saw him in Oklahoma City when he won the MVP, but I will say this. This series, although he lost, he erased 8 years of narratives about himself. I was proud of the way that Kevin Durant handled this series against the Milwaukee Bucks.
I agree with that. In the meantime, Jalen and Big Perk, you're both in L.A. You both think you're doing so well. You're having such a good time. No one's living their best life. Well, guess what? I want you to see what Magic Johnson is doing right now. This is Magic Johnson lifting weights on a yacht in Greece. Jalen, your reaction.
So Chris Rock once said it. Big Perk and I are rich, but the person that writes our check is wealthy. That's what a billionaire looks like, really. Like, Magic Johnson is the only person I know that takes vacations for weeks. Like, do you know how much that yacht costs? I guarantee you that yacht costs $5 million a day. A day. And he's going to be on there like 30 straight days. I love Magic so very much.
He's on there with Samuel. Go ahead, Perk.
You know what, Greeny and J. Rose? I'm just jealous because I saw this last year and I watched him go on this 3-month vacation where he traveled the seas and stopped at different destinations. You know what I said? This is motivation for me. I got to get myself together.
Not only that, do you bring weightlifting gloves on a vacation? I don't know. I mean, it's a fascinating thing that he's got working there. If I'm ever fortunate enough to be on that yacht in Greece, I'm telling you right now, I'm leaving the weightlifting gloves at home. We have beef between two legends. What do you think?
Hey, you know I love some beef, especially on Twitter and social media. If you got beef, green and legs, let's make some hamburgers, goddammit. And look, here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? It just goes to show me, and this is no disrespect to Scottie Pippen. He's the top 50 greatest player of all time in my eyes. But when you say things to that nature about the series against the Milwaukee Bucks, it goes to show me one thing, that you actually didn't watch the game of basketball. Kevin Durant had to take over the game. You know why? Because Joe Harris couldn't buy a bucket. Bruce Brown, he was on the floor with, couldn't make floaters late in the game. So he had to go down swinging. It wasn't that he wasn't trying to make the right play, but when he did make the right play, the others didn't deliver. And look, Kevin Durant would never be LeBron James. LeBron James would never be Kevin Durant. And guess what? We will never see another Kevin Durant ever again in the history of basketball, and we will never see another LeBron James again in the history of basketball. So there it is.
I think that's right. And Legs, again, for the audience just joining us, I wanted your perspective on that. Is there room for criticism of the way Kevin Durant went about trying to win that series?
Not in that situation, no. And Perk alluded to it. Look, you look at the way that series played out. Who did Kevin Durant expect to be out there with him? A healthy James Harden. He didn't have that. James Harden couldn't go by anybody. In fact, on that last possession, he actually gave the ball to James Harden as they were crossing half court and then realized, I got to go get it back. See, think about the burden on his shoulders. He couldn't even trust another superstar in that moment because James Harden was limited physically. Kyrie Irving's over there in street clothes. Joe Harris struggled the entire series to make shots. Yeah, and then the rest of those guys are all role players. So Kevin Durant read the room, and the room said, go try to be superhuman and win this yourself because you're one of the best one-on-one and isolation players in this league. And nothing was done easy for him. You know, he didn't get any